So I'm going to continue my questions. What is hello in German? And let's send this and wait for the response from our LLM. So again, it's saying, you can say hello or guten Tag, depend on the context. And now I'm gonna ask, what did I just ask you? Let's see this time it will remember or not, now that it has memory. You ask, what is hello in German? The German word for hello is hallo. You see, it's now able to recall our previous conversations. Hey everyone, Nariman here, welcome to my channel. Today I want to show you how you can add memory to your conversations with LLM. You might not notice while you are working with ChatGPT that LLMs do not have memory, because later on they added this ability to it. So right now, when you are talking with ChatGPT, it can recall your past conversations. But when you are collaborating with just pure LLM model, it doesn't have any built-in functionality to recall previous conversations. For example, if you run any of the Ollama's local models like Deepseek or Gemma, you can see that it's completely stateless. So if you ask one question and then in the next question you are referencing to it, the LLM simply cannot recall anything about that question and also its answer. So that's what we want to do. I want to show you how you can add memory to your chatbot. For this, I'm gonna use LangChain and also LangGraph as my agentic framework. And you can see later on that they have a very nice tool to add memory to your agent. And of course, I'm gonna use a Streamlit to create a very neat UI for our chatbot. So before we start coding, we need to go to the terminal. And then notice that I'm already in the directory of my project. We need to install our dependencies that I mentioned to you. Let's say pip install and then requirement.txt file. And you also need the -r flag before it. I'm gonna say -r, let's hit enter. And then it will install all the dependencies for you. Of course, if you haven't installed Ollama before, you need to also install that. And then you need to pull the model that you are gonna use. For example, in this project, I'm gonna use Deepseek. So I'm gonna say Ollama pull Deepseek -r1. And then you can choose also how big the model can be. I'm gonna say 8 billion parameters, and then you are gonna hit enter. And it will pull the model for you. I already did that before, so I won't do it right now. So these are two steps that you need to follow before I start coding. Now we can go back to our project. So I already created a file with some code inside. There's not much going on for now. As you can see, we have an Ollama model, which is our Deepseek R1. And then I created a very simple React agent on top of it. As you can see, it doesn't have any tools. It doesn't have any specific role, any sophisticated system prompt. We just have a simple chatbot to communicate with our Deepseek model. That's it. What we need to do first is to create a chatbot using a Streamlit and this LangGraph agent. So it's gonna be very simple. First, I'm gonna get the user's input from the chat, and I'm gonna call this, for example, question. This is the user's question. I need to somehow send this to my model and get the response and then show it in a Streamlit again. So I'm gonna say if there was a question, then first of all, just show it in the UI with this method, which is called chat message. So this will just show the user's questions in the UI. Next step would be calling the model with this. Let's say chat agent that invoke. Then it will get an object. I'm gonna say messages, and then it will be a list, and then another object, and then the role would be user, and the content would be question. Exactly. So what I did was I'm invoking my chat agent and I'm saying the user ask this question, and then it will give me a result. This result can contain many messages. If I'm not mistaken, it will even contain the user's question. But what I'm mainly interested in is the last message, which is the AI's response. So what I'm gonna do is get the last message here. This is not correct. It should be something like this. So this is gonna take the last message and then extract its content for me. And if you remember, reasoning models like Deepseek, they always have a think tag that they will share their thought process with you. So I created already a method which is called clean text with a very simple regular expression. I'm gonna exclude this think tag and all the content that is inside it. So I'm gonna use this one because I don't want to show the user the thought process. So I'm gonna clean this, and this is gonna be my response. Then it will be more or less the same. When the response is ready, I'm gonna show it in the UI, but with the different role. This is the assistant role. So I'm gonna use this here and show the user LLM's response with the assistant role. So our chatbot is more or less ready. One thing that is left is to store all the messages inside the session, so I can render all the history of the messages inside UI. Because the Streamlit is like a loop, and if I run it just like this, every time that I'm sending a message, it won't show me the previous messages. So it's pretty simple. Let's go here. I'm gonna say if the messages key is not in the session, I'm gonna add it. So think of this session state as a dictionary. So let's say we put this key inside it like this. Then I'm gonna say it can be a list of different messages like this, like what is the role and what is the content. So the default message, let's say it can be the role is assistant, and the content is gonna be, I don't know, how can I help you? Yeah, I think that is good enough. So what I basically said, if there is no messages in the state, just create a default one that the assistant is telling to the user, hey, how can I help you? Yeah. But if it exists, then I'm gonna every time loop over it. We can just copy this here. So I'm gonna loop over all the messages and write it exactly how I'm writing it here and here. So we can copy this, can copy it here, and then you will have your message with like content and here as role, like this. So we created a very basic session that is holding our messages, and every time that we are writing, we need to also add it to our session. So here and also here, we need to add messages to the session. You can use, for example, the append method because it's basically a list, and you can use the same structure as here. So here the role was user, and the content was actually the user's question. So we can add this to the session. Let's copy this. Let's put it here. Here the role is assistant. The response is the content. So this is our chatbot. It can remember previous conversations, so it will show it in the UI. I would suggest let's just run this, see how the chatbot is performing. Does it have memory or not? And if not, then we can add memory on top of it. So I can just go back here in command line, and I'm gonna say Streamlit run, and then run our Python file. Then there will be a window inside your browser like this. So you can see the title is agent with memory, and it's asking how can I help you. I'm gonna ask what is hello in German, and then it will send it here. It's showing me my question, and you can see the response. It's saying that, like in German, it is called Hallo or Guten Tag, depending on the context. But now is the important part. I'm gonna ask, what did I just ask you? So if the agent had memory, it could easily recall my last questions, which was like, what is hello in German? But let's see, when we didn't implement anything about the memory, can a pure LLM recall it or not? Let's wait for the response. You see it's saying that you can ask me anything else you need to help with. I'll do my best to assist you. So it's just not able to answer my question precisely. So this will be our next task, implementing a memory. Let's go back to our IDE. I need to implement a memory saver. LangGraph has a very nice built-in memory setup, which you can easily use. Here I'm gonna say import memory saver. So this is what we need. So if I have this, it will allow me to implement some kind of memory per thread, per conversation. So I'm talking right now with LLM, and we are back and forth sending each other messages, and I want to implement some kind of short-term memory for our LLM so it knows what was going on in the previous questions and answers. So all you need to do is pass this memory to your checkpointer. Here, when you are creating your React agent. This way, it will use this memory to recall conversations. But there is a small problem when we are integrating our chatbot with a Streamlit, because the Streamlit is running it over and over again. So every time this will be created again when I send a new message. And that's not what I want. I want a single memory object in memory so it can recall my previous messages. Yeah, that was the whole point. When this thing is going to be created again and again after each message, the previous object is destroyed. So I'm gonna use the same and store it in our session. So I'm gonna say, if there was no memory inside session, let's just create one. So I'm gonna create it here and then store it in session. So it will be created only once. per conversation. I'm gonna say like this. Then what we need to do is replace the check pointer with the one that is inside the session. We are almost done, but still, whenever we are communicating with chat agent, we need to somehow specify which conversation are we talking about. Because we can have multiple threads, multiple users are having different conversations with this agent. We need to use something like thread ID to say, hey, we are talking about this specific conversation. You need to recall previous messages about this specific conversation. So every time you are invoking it after this messages object, you can also give it a config which has a configurable. And yeah, let's always for now give the thread ID as 1. Of course, when you are working in a real application, you have your specific thread IDs probably, and you are passing it. For this, let's just pass 1, because we are gonna have only one conversation that I'm gonna show to you. I think this is already good enough. Let's go back and run our application again. I guess it's already running. Yeah, it's already running in our command line, so we can go back. Maybe we can just reload it, and it should have the latest changes. So I'm going to continue my questions. What is hello in German? And let's send this and wait for the response from our LLM. So again, it's saying, you can say hello or guten Tag, depend on the context. And now I'm going to ask, what did I just ask you? Let's see this time it will remember or not, now that it has memory. You ask what is hello in German. The German word for hello is hallo. You see, it's now able to recall our previous conversations, and it's working perfectly. So what we did basically was adding short-term memory to our LLM agent. Short-term memories are thread scoped, so it can only remember what's happening inside the current thread. We have also the option of adding long-term memory to our AI agent. Long-term memory stores user-specific data or application-specific data inside a simple store. For example, you have a user that is already logged into your application, and you want to recall even previous conversations. For example, once user came, had an interaction with your chatbot, then closed the application, came back later, and still you want to continue the conversation with the previous history. Something like what ChatGPT is also doing right now. It can recall your previous conversations. It's just beyond a specific thread. It's a bit out of context with a small showcase here, because it's more for applications that requires login and know who is the user who's already logged in. So I decided to more focus on the short-term memory, but maybe quickly I can show you how you can do it using LangGraph. You need to just import the store that they have. For example, you have something like store memory, and then probably it's called in-memory store, one of the stores that you can use. And then you can create an in-memory store and use it more or less the same that you are using this check pointer. For example, it has a put method, and it has a get method also. So you put, for example, information about this specific user ID, because it's now beyond the thread scope. We don't need only the thread ID. We are talking about user level. And then you can get the information that you want from it later. So it's more or less simple again, but yeah, for our showcase, it was just a little bit too much. I couldn't just show you exactly how powerful it is and how useful it is unless implementing some kind of login, which takes some hours. So yeah, that was it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please like it, share it with your friends, and also subscribe me for more content like this. See you around.